Hello and welcome to another episode of Jaxon Talks. Everybody, with me, your host, Jaxon Stone, and I'm here today with someone basically that I miss so much that I just asked them to be on my podcast so we can hang out. But I'm joined by a super talented professional wrestler, avid baseball fan, which we will definitely talk about, and a Ring of Honor standout, LSG. Hey, man, thanks for joining me.
Dude, it's great to talk to you again. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I wish we could do this in person, which I'm sure we will see each other again at some point soon. But this will have to do for now.
Yeah, I think the last time we spoke was like during the middle of the pandemic last year.
Yeah, it has been that long. Probably on like an Instagram Live, I think it was.
Yeah, when everyone was on Instagram Live all day because no one had anything else to do.
I was doing those so often. I was like getting so much joy out of doing those Instagram Lives.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. I actually made a lot of friends doing that. So,
boom, it's a good way to stay connected. So, but thanks for joining me. And I have like kind of a specific way I start this podcast. I'm not sure if you know or if you've watched any or listened to any episodes, but you might be able to figure it out once I kind of get talking about it. But I think this question is super important. I think if we answer it more openly and honestly, especially between two dudes, I think it can really create some really important conversation. And we were speaking a bit about it off camera, but I'll ask you on camera now. My man, LSG, like, how are you doing? For real, for real.
For real. It's hard to admit it because like on social media, you always try to portray that, you're doing great or that you're super positive and all that. But, a lot of people don't realize the struggles we deal with as being professional wrestlers or athletes, and like the constant just struggles, like sometimes getting out of bed and not feeling great, having injuries, mentally feeling completely drained or having lack of confidence. It's all that stuff that plays into like, your daily routine and just having to deal with it and just get past it. Have good days and bad days, just like everybody else. Recently, I've been dealing with some minor injuries that kind of like hindering my training, but, I'm trying to push through and stay as positive as possible and just trying to, keep a really, I guess like positive group of people around me to stay focused. Otherwise, like, there are days I want to isolate myself and just, be by myself. I'm a loner. But I know if I do that, probably gonna put myself in a bad spot mentally. So just trying to stay productive and just, talk to positive people like you.
Yeah. Would you say that's your biggest like maybe coping mechanism when things start to go bad or down a little bit? Like it's about having that support system, or is there any other things that you kind of do to help navigate those challenging feelings?
Well, naturally, I'm an introvert, so naturally I like to just shut everyone off. Like I like to just not look at my phone. I like to be by myself. I know it kind of bothers people that I do that. I kind of disappear a little bit. I've been working really hard to not be like that, but just naturally, that's what I like to do, and I'm working to try to talk about issues more and just being more open about it, and not being so closed and bottling up all those frustrations or issues that I have. So it's something I got to work on. We all have to work on it.
Everyone has to work on it, right? We all have some sort of maybe unhealthy way of dealing with something that might be challenging, but sometimes alone time is exactly what you need. So that's not always a bad thing, right? Sometimes we need to regroup, refresh, be with ourselves, be with our thoughts. And then when we have that support system come into our lives and we do feel open enough or close enough with people to share our story, then it becomes a really connecting, piece of the puzzle, which is really nice. Is wrestling an outlet for you, or do you think that causes you more, I don't want to say stress, since we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to kind of be the best in the world, since you work for one of the best companies in the world? Do you think wrestling is more of an outlet for you when you're feeling like that, or it adds a little bit more pressure and stress, or maybe it's a bit of both?
Oh, I'd say it's 50-50. I feel like it brings me just as much frustration as it does give me joy. Just getting excited to go perform or getting excited to go train later, like all those things, keep me going. But at the same time, it's like they like come down, when you're done wrestling or you're not wrestling for a couple weeks, that's when like you start hitting the low points. You know, we talk about these like peaks and valleys. It's like the peak is like performing and training and doing all the wrestling stuff and doing the drives and traveling. And then the low point is like when you're sitting at home and like watching other people, you know, perform and stuff, and you get like that FOMO, or like you feel like you're not good enough, and or you're seeing people, other people get opportunities that you feel like you deserve. That's like that's the highs and lows. So I, you know, it's a yin and yang. There's 50-50. It's just all about balance and trying not to let those lulls like really get the best of you.
Yeah. It's very, 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 very hard with
People don't
social
realize.
media and how heavily people post on it, not to compare yourselves to
Right.
anyone else, right? But our journeys, like your journey is not the same as my journey. We might both be professional wrestlers, but it's not the same, and we can't expect it to be the same. And we have to honor our own, you know, path. And like, if we work hard, we put ourselves in the right situations and kind of let the universe decide. I always feel like it'll put us in the right place. And I think it's
Yeah.
done it for you, right? You're in a really good spot. Like things could always be better for sure, but I feel like you're pretty appreciative of where you're at and how hard you've worked to get there.
Yeah, all things considered, man, it's like I've really been wrestling since last July. Like in the middle of the pandemic, I was still pretty busy. And then I was very fortunate to start doing the bubble tapings with Ring of Honor, starting in October, where, you know, most of the world was still shut down. And I'm still being able to get paid and wrestle on TV for one of the major organizations in the world. So I'm super fortunate for that. I still get to, you know, travel every once in a while, and you know, you can't complain. There's a lot of people who are not in the same position as I am. And every time I get upset with myself or feel like I should be further along, I have to like kind of, you know, take a step back and be like, look, I'm in a great position. I should be grateful. So it's just one of those things about being. I got to be more present. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about being more present and just enjoying the moment, and that's another thing I got to work on. But all things considered, definitely in a good spot, and I'm happy with, you know, what I've been able to do the last year.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, I love watching you. Like one of the things I noticed about you right away when we met a couple years ago at the Monster Factory was like you were doing like a bit of training there, like you were training and doing some training at the same time. Was that you were like, you know, pretty far along in your career. I think you were starting to work for Ring of Honor then, like in your tag team, and like you still showed up to training all the time. And now most people aren't like that, right? When they start getting bookings and they start getting on TV or they start getting big time matches, training becomes a secondary thing. And so one thing I always noticed about you was that you always wanted to show up to training, whether it's just do a drill, whether it's to help other people out, whether it's to get your cardio in. Like where'd that come from? Is that just like a love for pro wrestling and wanting to be around the sport all the time, or is that something your parents instilled in you, or like where's that come from?
Well, I mean, being an athlete my whole life, it kind of just it's just the way of life, you know. Um, you know, like you, I played baseball most of my life, so that, you know, that just like the training regimen and just being an active athlete all the time, and that like never shuts off really. You know, even when we were off season, I was still training in the winter time here in Jersey and stuff, and we were always getting ready for the next season or just doing you know, indoor camps and things like that. It's just like I took that and I transferred it to my wrestling career. So even when I'm active, I'm still, you know, training right now. Like I'm not training. I wouldn't say I'm not training as hard as I was before, but I'm coaching now, so I'm always involved around it, and just like tweaking things. And I'm always in the ring. I'm always around wrestling, even when I'm not performing. And I love that aspect of it because like I know, you know, a guy like Danny Cage, he always talks about it, is like look at the Patriots, you know, when they were winning the Super Bowls, where they, you know, did they win a Super Bowl and just stop training? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, they're back at it, training camp. They're training throughout the week. You know, you really don't have those off seasons.
Yeah.
You're always putting in hard work. Yeah.
I mean, it shows in your work and shows in your work, right? You're one of the very few guys that I watch wrestle that I feel like has like a multitude of skills, right? When you talk about wrestlers, you're always like, they're like one thing. He's technical, he's high flyer, right? I've seen you wrestle like a pure rules match. I've seen you fucking springboard off the top rope. I've seen you do some big time power moves, right? I've seen you run with the best of them. Like, and that's a testament, right, to your training regimen. And now that you're coaching kids, I think, where's it at? Creator Pro?
Yeah, Creative Pro New Jersey,
Yeah. So
aka Wrestling
now,
Pro.
as a coach, are you trying to instill like a well-rounded wrestler, or what's your approach there?
Well, right now we're actually teaching a beginner program. we're actually right at the end of the first session. It's a 12-week program for beginners. So a lot of these kids, they've never done sports before. They're not athletes. Some have maybe gotten some training at other schools and didn't finish it, and they came to us.
Mm.
So we're really kind of starting from the ground up. So we're not that far along yet. It's mostly just about building a great foundation, because you can't really get to any of these places without a good foundation. You can't be a great technical wrestler, a great high flyer, a great power wrestler, any of those things without a good foundation.
Right.
You have, it has to start somewhere. So I think my main priority right now is just making sure these kids are trained properly, and they're trained like kind of, the Pat Buck way. That's, he's the one who opened the school, and we're kind of like passing along a lot of the cool stuff that we've learned from like guys like Dr. Tom.
Right.
A lot of the stuff that came from him was passed like Pat, and now we pass along to these kids. And we think if they have a great foundation, they can do anything with it.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
I coached a 13-year-old baseball team this year. It's my first time coaching. And it kind of like, for one, definitely reinvigorated my passion for baseball, but also like being able to like really explain something to someone in detail, like makes me understand it better, like how to get around a baseball when you field it, or where to step and load with your hands. And so I'm sure that transferred with you, like when you're teaching the foundations and the basics. You think coaching there has made you a better performer, or what has it done for you specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of guys don't like having to lead younger people, but you know what? I actually like it, because it makes me, have to perfect my own craft. Like I can't preach it if I'm not doing it myself. And it's funny too, because like a lot of times, I don't know if you know Bobby Wayward. He's one of the other coaches, or Anthony Bowens from AEW.
Yeah.
They're the other coaches. And it's funny, sometimes we'll be teaching like a really simple maneuver, and we're like, wait a minute, how do you do this again? Like, it's stuff that you take for granted, or you forget how to do because you're not doing it all the time, or you're not thinking about it. But when you're breaking it down and teaching a brand new student, you have to know what you're doing. So I like that. I like that idea of like having to, perfect it through teaching, and also like reinforces your own skills.
Yeah, I 100%. I felt the exact same way. Yeah, totally.
I love it. This stuff I catch all the time. Like, wait a minute, I'm doing this wrong, and then I fix it. You know how it is. You pick up bad habits along the way. I've been wrestling 10 years now. So there's sometimes I'm doing things, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right. Like, I should probably do it the right way, especially if I want to teach the young kids the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can only get better at wrestling in a few ways, right? You have to train obviously properly, build a foundation, and then start having matches with people that are better than you. And then a third thing is, I think, continuing your training while you start having matches, and then watching your matches back. Like, I can't know if I throw a good big boot unless I see myself perform a big boot, right? And then you start to like plug and play what you're good at, and like figuring out, you try new things. Oh, that didn't look good. That was bad. I'm not good at this, right? Because in wrestling, we have like a unique ability to only present the stuff that we're good at. If I can't take an arm drag, nobody should know that, right? I just don't do them. I should probably know how to take an arm drag, because that's a basic skill and it's a fundamental thing. But no fan is going to watch my 15-minute match with you and be like, Jaxon, we didn't see you do an arm drag tonight. I don't think you can do one. They'd be like, oh, that was a sick match, right? So it's a cool, unique thing in wrestling that we can kind of select what we present so we can be always our best self. But sometimes you got to try some things out to see if you're actually good at them. But you want to pick and choose those shows to make sure when you get to a level that like there's eyes on you and the pressure's on, that you have your shit mapped out pretty well.
Yeah, there's stuff I suck at, but you know what? You'll never know what it is. Because I'm not going to do it in my matches. I can pick and choose the things that I can do well, and that I can do, 100 out of 100 times. And that's something we preach to the students. Sometimes, hey, look, you might not be great at punches, but maybe that means you got to work on your forearms, or work on, other kind of strikes. But that's for everything. Everyone has different strengths. So it's great to be well-rounded. But if you're weak at one thing, why not get strong at another?
Yeah, I think it's really more about what you said exactly. It's like building the foundation is the first part, like strong foundation, strong basics, and then really figuring out what your strengths are and accentuating those and highlighting those every time you wrestle. So yeah. I mean, we trained together a bunch at the Monster Factory, so I know that you know what you're talking about for sure.
Yeah, I had a great foundation there. Like, it's funny. People think that's where I started, but I actually started somewhere else before that. Um, I started at Ace, which is actually the school that Jay Lethal's from, and AJ Lee. Uh, that closed down shortly after I joined, though. So I only had like a little taste of that, and then I started just jumping around school to school because
Yeah.
you know how New Jersey is. It's like saturated with wrestling.
Yeah, they got
There are
everything. Yeah.
so many schools. I was jumping around. I was doing like training at CZW back in the day with like Sammy Callahan
Mm.
before he got signed. So I was just kind of getting a taste of all these different things until I found the Monster Factory and kind of like took everything I had learned the first 2 years and cleaned it up and just solidified that foundation. And like, I will take that with me forever.
Yeah.
Anywhere I go, I'll take that, whether it's, the ROH TV or maybe one day WWE or even like out to Germany, and just teaching those things for my foundation.
Yeah. How amazing was that WXW trip though?
Dude, I think about that trip every single day. People don't realize like how impactful that is on like a young wrestler's career.
Hmm.
Especially somebody who's never been out of the country. It's a huge deal.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my whole life, not just wrestling related, just me being a
Yeah.
human person. Yeah. I mean, I met some of my best friends out there, right? It's like incredible people, really amazing organization. Yeah. I urge anyone to just travel anywhere they can. If you have the means, the funds, the time, get out there and go do it. Like, you don't know if you can fly unless you jump. So
Absolutely. All it took was an email. Just why not give it a shot?
exactly.
Anyone who's ever scared about pressing send, just do it.
Do
Just
it.
do it.
Worked out for me, worked out for you, worked out for a few
Yeah.
other folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
I want to switch topics a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. Talk about before we get into baseball, I want to ask you first, because I know you're
Yeah.
you're a Marvel fan, right?
Yes.
Have you watched Loki?
I have. I have not watched today's episode though, so I've been like avoiding spoilers. I'm gonna watch it tonight after training.
Yeah, I haven't watched it
Oh,
either. My roommate gets up at like 4 or 5 in the morning every Wednesday to watch it. He's a huge Marvel fan.
awesome.
He said it was like a meh episode, but he's like really big into it. So I'll probably think it's like a fucking amazing episode. Uh, but what do you think about it so far, and how does it rank to the other shows that they've dropped so far this year?
I actually wasn't too excited for this show, but like I'm hooked now. I think it's great. I mean, all the Disney Plus series have been great, but this one has been like really, really cool because it's so, far out there with the time travel stuff and all the potential things that could happen with the Marvel universe. So it's exciting. And it's funny because I was never like a huge Loki fan, like whatever. I know people love him so much, like he's a super charismatic character and all that, but I'm like hooked now. Definitely, I'm on board.
I'm super hooked too. Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, oh, they're gonna do a series about a villain. I'm not really into that villain thing. But then he's like,
The anti-hero thing is like it's done too much now.
yeah, and like, but there's so much depth to his character. The actor who's playing Loki is like doing a phenomenal job. Like, he's kind of figuring out like who he might be. Is he really this guy that he's been portraying this whole time, or is he someone different? Is he someone more? Like, I love the character arc of so many of these Marvel characters throughout all the movies, especially like the Avengers series. But man, they do such a good job. I like whoever's writing and producing this stuff,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
And what's unbelievable too, if you really think about it, look at the amount of on-screen time and character development like somebody might have on a Disney Plus show. So like Loki, he's gonna have what, 6 episodes? Those 6 episodes plus all the movies, he's already got more screen time than Tony Stark.
Yeah, wow.
Like, if you really think about it, like he's gonna have more of a character development, with a show like this, like just jumping in and just studying the character for like 6 episodes straight.
Yeah.
About how many years that took just for one character like Tony Stark to do because of the movies.
Right.
So I think that's the benefit of having the mini series like this.
If you could do a mini series on anyone in the Marvel universe, who would you pick?
Oh man. Um
I'm gonna think about it too.
I actually think a Wolverine one would be cool because we've already had some movies, but I think like an actual like 10 episode miniseries would just be phenomenal because he's such a deep character. He's got such a backstory and like so many characters in his history. I think like a drama would be really cool like that for Wolverine instead of
I,
like having to shove him into an X-Men movie.
right. Because he does have a lot of layers to him, and you can put him in like different kind of places in history too, which would be sweet. You could just kind of pick which one you wanted to do, and he's got
That's
a
how I
lot.
would.
Yeah, yeah,
I would
I like
introduce
that.
him in a. I would introduce him in a mini series like that, and then the end of the series is him like meeting the X-Men, which
Yeah,
which could be established in their own movies at the same time, like instead of like having to do both at the same time in one movie, because he's so like deep and layered. Just let him do his own thing for a whole mini series.
I
I think
think you
that's
should. I think you should click send on this email to the Marvel Universe
yes,
people.
right. I know people
uh,
are all like kind of tired of Wolverine, but I mean,
mm-mm.
Wolverine's money. Wolverine is money.
He's badass. I like him. I'd watch any. I mean, especially if Hugh Jackman is coming out there with his veins popping out, just like ready to go.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough to see somebody else play him though, man. I don't know who's gonna fill those shoes.
I know. It's like the new guy playing Batman,
Yeah,
Robert Pattinson.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm fired up about it. I liked it. I mean, I think he's a great actor. I've seen him in a lot of movies, and I think he can do a good job.
I'm pumped for that too.
Yeah.
Sucks
Um,
with it. Gotta wait till March, man.
March of next year.
Yes.
Oh, I guess March of this year already passed. So.
That trailer came out like 14 months ago. It's crazy. Time flies.
Did it? It wasn't that long ago.
I think it was like a year ago. The
Was
trailer
it?
came, but everything is COVID. Everything got pushed. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah. I thought
crazy.
for me, it felt like last week I saw it. It's just like everything's so jumbled.
Yep.
But cool. All right. And then like Black Widow comes out soon. There's a lot going on. And there's a lot
Oh
going on.
yeah,
So that's sweet.
I'm going tomorrow night.
Are you?
Yep.
So when this episode drops, there'll be like at least 2 more episodes of Loki out. Black Widow will be out. It'll be so people have already seen it by then. So they'll be ready
Yeah,
to go.
I'm a big Marvel mark or a superhero mark. So
Yeah.
I got like the first showing Thursday night, like the first, you know.
That's awesome. My
I'm-
roommate's the exact same way. So like I feel like I get all this knowledge from him. And then like in the middle of the episodes, he's already watched and I don't understand something. I'm like texting him. He's in his room, like, dude, what's happening? What does this mean? He's like, I got you. It's great. All right, now we'll do another quick subject change into another mutual interest of ours, which is obviously baseball.
Yeah.
So I looked at some power rankings yesterday and I saw the Mets in the top 10. They were number 10 best team in baseball right now. What do you think about that?
I think it's accurate because I mean, even though they're in first place, they have a lot of holes in their in their team right now. They're not hitting very well. They've got some starting pitching issues at the back of the rotation is a little weak, but they're finding ways. Their bench has been awesome in carrying them. They have like at one point I think they had like 16 guys in the IL, which is just absurd.
Yeah.
But the bench mob or the replacements, as we like to call them over here, they carried the team. So they won this morning. So they're like 5 games up right now in the East. They're just finding ways to win, and of course they've got DeGrom. So how can you not be in like the top 10 with the best pitcher in baseball?
I mean, he might be the best player. I mean, besides maybe Shohei Ohtani, but
Yeah, he's unreal too.
out of control. My favorite pitcher in baseball is Marcus Strowman, and he's on the Mets.
Oh, dude, I love Strowman.
You like Marcus?
I love everything about him. Like on the field, off the field, he's just. I want to be friends with him. Like,
Oh my God, so bad. Yeah.
Dude, I want to just like hang out with this dude and just talk to him.
Like his energy he brings to the field. Like, I love that. I'm like, that's what baseball's about. Like bringing that kind of heart and soul every pitch you throw, every time you step on the mound. Like that's what baseball is like. It's built on emotion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I love seeing guys just let it fly on both sides of the baseball, pitching and hitting as well. So I'm super pumped about watching him pitch. But
yeah, I love his vibe, and he's not like an asshole about it. He's super confident, and he wears his heart in his sleeve, but he doesn't go overboard to the point where people hate him.
Right. He's like someone like, if I strike you out in a big situation, I'm going to celebrate. If you hit a home run off me in a big situation, hats off to you, man. You won that battle. That's what the game's about, right? It's pitcher versus hitter in that very intense moment. And sometimes the hitter wins, sometimes the pitcher wins. And that's the beauty of the game, right? So I love that.
Yeah, and another thing I really love about him is like you see a lot of athletes doing it now. They're just like really launching their own brands and like being entrepreneurs. So he's got his own clothing brand. He's got his own shoe wear now too. Like he's got his own cleats. Like, dude, I love seeing that. That kind of like entrepreneurship. Like that's something I would love to do one day. Just have my own brand of clothing, or who knows, maybe a wrestling shoe. Like that's awesome. So I love seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really cool. And like college athletes now can do it, right? They can make money off their
I
name,
saw that.
image, and likeness. So like
Yeah,
branding and monetization of a YouTube channel, or starting your own clothing brand, or selling your jersey in a bookstore. All these things are possible now, which is amazing.
I saw that he's like signing ambassadors now, like college players.
Mm-hmm.
To his brand. I would love to see like, top tier wrestlers do that with like indie guys. Like how cool would that be if you saw like a guy like, I mean, you get guys like in WWE that would just vouch for a bunch of indie wrestlers that they support. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to get to that point, but it would be cool to see that.
It would be cool. But yeah, onto the entrepreneur thing first before I make my other point. Like I started a few businesses. Like I currently run them. So if you want to talk shop about that, or want to know the ins and outs, I don't have all the answers, but I have a few answers, right? So anyways, not to plug myself or put myself over there, but I mean, I guess this is my podcast, so people who do listen to this probably already know that. But for people who are watching this show, specifically for you, LSG, because you're a superstar, that starting your own brand or building like a business around your social media or your name and your image, your likeness, is hard. But the only way to do it is to just start, right? I mean, just like anything else, right? There's never going to be that perfect time to start. You just kind of have to do it, depending on where you're at in life and what kind of schedule you have going on or what your priorities are, right? But if you have an idea in mind, right? Like get that out on paper. Like the Ace of Space clothing brand, man. Like, let's go. Market it. I'm ready to go.
I already got the logos ready.
Yeah, you already have them.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, and while we're on the subject, shout out to Matt Cross with his Wrestling is Forever. His stuff is awesome. His whole line is fantastic. And
fantastic.
Check that out.
Yeah, but it's one of the best wrestling brands for sure. Oh
yeah.
And then my internet connection is fine. Thank you so much. The last time I did a Zoom podcast was like 3 days ago, and I got kicked off it like 4 times. So today we're crushing it. So I feel like this is the best thing that's ever happened. So yes, fantastic. But back to the point about like WWE guys like sponsoring other wrestlers. Like I think personally that the guys that work for WWE would be open to that idea because they want to help. But like WWE itself would not be open to it because they're trying to heavily manage the wrestlers that work for them. I think never worked for them, don't know the ins and outs, can't really speak on it full stop, but that's just my thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the same situation. I'm sure a lot of them would be willing to do that. I know guys like Seth Rollins is doing it with his own brand because he has his own school, so he's an exception. But it's probably difficult for a lot of the guys to do that right now, just the way the business is right now. But on the ground level here in the Indies, I do see a lot of collaboration. I do see a lot of people like lifting each other up and supporting each other. It's a really cool thing to see. It was definitely not like this when I first started wrestling. And now you just see like everyone repping each other's brands, putting each other over. It's cool. I feel like, the last few years we've kind of cleaned up, the business and people are really working together to just enhance the independent scene.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like I've seen some amazing collaborations, amazing joint shows, like specifically here in Texas, like we're running like a Texas indie showcase with like 9 companies in one show. Like I'm not even on the show, and I think it's fucking fantastic. Like they're just coming together and putting and showcasing all these different talents, like hidden gems, right? You have all these other companies working together. Because everyone on the independent scene, that's what we have. We have the autonomy to do whatever we want, to promote whatever we want, to be whatever we want, to sell whatever we want. And if people can work together and kind of promote each other and lift each other up, just like you said, right, it becomes a much more not only profitable business, right? The point of a business is to make money, but a much more enjoyable, safe, like inclusive environment that everyone feels like they have a part to succeed in.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
But that leads me to my next question, which I was going to ask without even us bringing that up. So maybe you already answered it, but we'll go for it anyways. After COVID, after everything that's happened kind of in the last year and a half, 2 years, what's your feelings on kind of the state of wrestling in general, or maybe just independent wrestling?
It's funny because like I have mixed feelings about it. There are days where I'm like, damn, it's like the Wild Wild West out there. It's just
Mm,
like anything goes. I mean, especially in New Jersey, it's just like it's madness out here. But at the same time, um, especially with like streaming services and just the ability to use social media to like get yourself over, people like you would never know about are getting over big time on social media. We're getting to see talent from all over the country get opportunities. Like IWTV, Fight TV, they're doing great jobs showcasing people that you'd never see before. And I'm like super grateful. I love the fact that like we could all, you don't need to see wrestling on cable TV anymore. You can go online or go on a streaming service and see all these people that you would have never seen before. Just like think about, 1 second. Yeah, just think about like all the people that are getting over right now just because of social media. I love to see it.
yeah.
It makes me want to work harder too because I'm like, whoa, I'm like, look how much effort these people are putting in to get themselves over. I'm here in New Jersey and I'm like taking it for granted, just thinking that I'm going to get over just by like just getting on a show and that's it. There's so much more to it.
Yeah. So on
It's
top
a
of that, what'd you say?
challenge.
What'd you say?
It's not just showing up and but yeah, there's just so much more to it nowadays. You don't just show up and do your match and that's it. Expect the world. You gotta reach out to fans. You gotta create content, create a podcast, create a brand. It's cool to see all these people doing it.
Yeah, I love it. So on top of that question, what advice would you give to, say, a wrestler in their first or second year, uh, just trying to get after it?
Definitely, like I said before, build that foundation, get the right training, but also know when it's time to branch out.
Mm,
That's a huge part of it. Staying in your little bubble forever is just you're never going to grow. You need to hear different opinions. You need to see people make mistakes. You need to be around successful people. You need to be around people that are better than you. You just need to see more parts of the world. Like you just got to get out there and just meet new people with different opinions, because you never know who you're going to meet out there that might influence you. When you just surround yourself, like when I first started, I was surrounding myself with people that would just say great things about me. I'm like, I knew this wasn't right. I was like, no, I need to hear other opinions. You don't grow without critiques and criticism.
hmm
When you're surrounded by yes men, there's never advancement in your career. So for the new guys out there, get that base, get that foundation, and just start branching out. Look for opportunities. I'm sending like 8 students to a Dr. Tom camp next weekend. I'm constantly sending them out to like seminars. There's one for Hot Sauce Tracy Williams coming out. Like, just I'm always trying to get them out there. Like, because I'm sure there's coaches out there that don't want their kids to get out there. They want to control them.
hmm
But I'm definitely not like that. I want to set them up for success and just put them in positions to learn.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
experience is everything, I think, right? Good and bad experiences are going to be part of that journey. Not every time you send a kid out to a seminar is it going to be a good experience. And that's also an important part of the learning process as well. But some of those experiences are going to be fucking amazing and life changing. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that goes for just all parts of life, like having interesting conversations, meeting interesting people, experiencing new things that you're unfamiliar with, getting out of your comfort zone, like getting critiqued, being told that you're wrong, and taking that criticism well. Like, okay, that doesn't mean I'm worthless. That doesn't mean I suck. That just means I can do better at certain things because of this person's perspective. And then you
Yeah.
jumble all those things up together, and you start to learn and grow from that, and you build yourself, you know, a good wrestler, or what's even more important, an upstanding person who has values and character. And the wrestling itself will just kind of come naturally. I think, at least. But yeah. Okay. Listen.
What did I?
No, that's it. That's all I have for you.
Oh, cool. That's it.
Yeah. No. Where can people find LSG? Where should they follow you? Where's your merch at? What's the good word?
Okay, so all my handles are the same across the board, from Twitter to Facebook to YouTube. It's all Leon St Giovanni. Look up LSG or the Ace of Space, and you will find me. I've got a press and tee shop. What a Maneuver, which is cool because it's got like different colors and different kinds of shirts. To check that out. Probably with us traveling more, I'm going to be starting up my vlog again. I was doing a cool little vlog that I was doing with Shaheem back when I was at Coast to Coast. So I'll probably get that started up again on my YouTube channel. We've got some cool things coming up in the July. We've got Best in the World on pay-per-view.
That's right.
That's the all-arch pay-per-view, July 11th. Probably passed, but you can always catch replay on Fight TV. I'll be on TV soon too. We've got TV taping coming up. WrestlePro will be back very, very soon on YouTube. Check that out. And we've got an awesome, our 5th tour, crazy, 5th tour of Alaska in August.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
check that out.
Yeah.
That's,
Before we go, I want to ask you about Alaska. How amazing is that place?
Dude, unreal. It's untapped territory. That's why it's so cool to go there, because there's no wrestling there.
Are the shows fucking sick or what?
They're fantastic. The fans are great too, because they don't get any wrestling. They would get like, maybe a WWE house show every 5 years. So they're just hungry. These are passionate fans too. Like, we take it for granted. They're not just WWE fans. You show up and everyone's got AEW stuff or independent merch. Like, they're fans everywhere, man.
Love that.
It's cool. And in August, we have a really cool crew going. Luke Hawks and PJ Hawks are going.
Yeah.
The BWO, Jay Lethal's going. I think, pretty sure Ryder and Cardona and Brian Myers are going. So should be just phenomenal all around.
Love that. Fucking Alaska, dude. Incredible. Untapped wrestling market. Let's go.
Hey, 5th time.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, whoever decided to do that and book that and plan that, kudos to that person. They're crushing it. So, yeah. Okay. So what else? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to talk about that.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, man. I got, ROH. We got some cool Monster Factory stuff coming up. So keep an eye on that. They're posting content every week now on the Factory YouTube channel. WrestlePro's buzzing. And who knows, man. I think the borders are going to open up soon. So fingers crossed for some more international traveling, maybe Mexico soon.
Yes, absolutely. I believe in it for you, for all of us. But dude, thank you. Thanks for joining me. I miss you. Hopefully I get to see you in person soon. But thanks for doing it.
I'm working on going to Texas soon too.
Huh?
Working on going to Texas. I'm going back to Texas soon.
We'll get you here. I'll book you here for my house party.
Dude, Texas seems so like hot right now.
It's wild. It's wild.
Like, wow. Yeah. It's like I see just so many indies like just buzzing right now in Texas. So
it's so cool.
I want a piece of that. I've only been there for ROH, so I want to go and just experience some of the indie wrestling there.
We got you. Let's get it.
Sweet.
But yeah, thanks for joining me. If you like this episode, just like share it with a friend. Tell them that you thought LSG was mad cool, and tell them to listen or watch YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever. Give us a review, write a comment, tell us if you liked it or not. But thank you for watching. Super grateful. Love everyone. LSG, appreciate you. Be well. And bye.
Love you, bro. Thank you.